Out of all of the social media platforms, I actually genuinely enjoy Twitter.
Yeah.
And of course, I was genuinely worried that it would have this horrible impact on my career. I'm an independent writer, independent journalist. I don't work for a company. I don't work for a university. It's just me. So I actually do depend on social media a lot to reach my audience. I also depend on platforms like Twitter to connect with other writers, to connect with other editors. And I honestly was completely shocked. I remember somebody saying to me, "Oh, surely you saw this coming." And I was like, "No, of course not. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I legit did not say anything hateful or offensive." And I didn't think I was breaking any Twitter rules because I wasn't. So, I was...
What rule did they say that you were violating? Because they had changed their rules, and then you got banned after the change. They changed, I think, last year. And what you had done violated the new terms of service, which was what was the message that they kind of relayed to you as to what you broke?
Well, I didn't know about this misgendering rule, because as far as I'm aware, the first time that it was reported that now you weren't allowed to misgender, so you're not allowed to call somebody who identifies as a trans woman he, was an hour after I was banned.
That's pretty poor timing, right?
I know. I was like, that's interesting. And they never even told me specifically what rule I broke. They said it was this hateful conduct thing, and then referenced this tweet. Yeah, it's him. This tweet that I made about Yaniv, referring to him as him. So I'm still just guessing. I'm assuming that it's misgendering, but I don't know. They've never told me. Hateful conduct, saying yeah, it's him, isn't hateful conduct.
Think there's any chance you get back on?
I hope so. Jeez,
just losing your DMs alone is already a pretty big hit,
It's losing a lot of contacts.
Yeah.
And it's also, it's a connection to my audience. It's a connection to other people. It's a place that I had conversations with people about things. It's not really possible to reach people in that exact way on other platforms. You're reaching really the masses, which is obviously important to me. My job is to communicate with people.
Masses,
yeah. So
just a quick carry on.
Anybody who considers themselves a leftist or a progressive, anybody who has a critique of capitalism or corporate power wouldn't have a critique of pornography. This is a massive industry, and you're right that there's a few big companies that kind of control the whole thing. Sure, yeah, there's amateur videos here and there, but most of what people see online is run by these bigger companies. People who tell me, oh, well, not all porn, not all porn, not all porn. It's yeah, but most porn is violent in a certain way, certainly abusive, certainly degrading, certainly women are called horrid names and treated so badly. The justifications, I think, are just sort of trying to justify your own practices, right? And they've been okay, yeah, I'm liberated. And I think that if I keep telling myself that this is empowering me over and over and over again, then I guess I'm empowered. Pornography and prostitution are not and have never been for women. It's always been for men. Women aren't getting anything out of prostitution. They're getting paid, but they're not, like pornography. Your career in pornography, if you're a woman, is incredibly short-lived.
Yeah.
Same thing in prostitution. Partly because they don't want to be there. They're doing it because they're I've got to make some money. I don't want to stay here. This isn't a career path that I want. But also, it's so hard on you, physically and mentally, psychologically, that you don't last long. And in pornography in particular, you're sort of valued when you're fresh meat. And then, that lasts maybe a month or two, and then you're out. And if you're not out, the way that you stay in is by doing more and more extreme pornography. And of course, then you're not going to last very long either, because you're known in the industry as this person who's doing this, and you can't go back to doing this. It's just, to frame this as something good for women, it's a joke. I mean, it's just the worst joke.
I think it says a lot that there's even just a for women category when you think about it, how odd that is that there's a for women category and how totally different it is. It's much more plot driven, I guess, and it's also much more like gentle, less, smacking around. But
like surprise, women don't want to be like abused while they're having sex. Like. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, the things that are normalized for young women these days are really awful. Like, I think that you're right, like face fucking, like being choked, like the fact that like choking during sex is normal. Anal sex has been totally, I mean, obviously like anal sex has been going on for a long time, but it's normalized in a way that it never has before. And in general, anal sex isn't something that is enjoyable for women. They don't have a prostate.
Right.
Like that's not, but young women, I think that they have to go along with this stuff. This is what you do. This is what you do in sex and sexual relationships. Somebody like chokes you with their dick, chokes you with their hand, like you do anal sex, you do all this porn stuff, right? You participate in kind of BDSM stuff. And what was really worrying is that it's like normalizing kind of a one-sided sexual relationship where if a man is getting pleasure, it doesn't matter if the girl or the young woman is enjoying it. And she's, probably pretending that she's enjoying it and not feeling like she can say that she actually doesn't because that makes her a prude or anti-sex or whatever. Like, it's really upsetting in so many ways, and I think it has a really negative impact on. I mean, it's causing erectile dysfunction in young men, right?
Yeah.
Which is no good for anybody. And I mean, I think social media plays a part too. And this isn't my expertise. I've not done studies on this kind of thing, but I can speak to like my own experience and the way that I feel like if I spend too much time on social media, like on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, which is just kind of drained and shitty. Like, I don't think that it's good for people to be online all the time. I don't think it's good for our brains. And certainly I don't think that consuming pornography contributes to good self-esteem, good mental health, good relationships with other people. Relationships with other people are really, really important, and it's devalued by all this. Like interacting with real people in real life, being held accountable, respecting other people, and when we're online all the time, either playing video games, which you're not interacting with real people, watching pornography, only interacting with other people online. It can't possibly be good for us. To my partner, it's harmful to society, and make a choice not to consume pornography, not to buy sex. And I mean, in general, no, I don't have any grand solution, and I do kind of think things will get worse before they get better, unfortunately. But I do think that, having real conversations in real life, interacting with people in your community, in your life, getting together with people that you don't agree with or you might not have spoken to otherwise. I mean, I value, in general, I've always, liked talking to people and liked interacting with people. But because of what happened with this Twitter ban, all these people reached out to me who mostly were like, hey, I don't agree with anything you say, but I really support you, or I'm really interested to talk. And I talked to all these people that I wouldn't have talked to otherwise, or on different ends of the political spectrum, or maybe not even on different ends of the political spectrum, but just people who would have thought, oh, I hate feminism. And maybe I would have labeled them MRAs or the right or whatever. And talking to these people, I was like, I really like these people. I really like learning about them. I really like understanding where they come from. And maybe at the end of the conversation, we still disagree about a lot, but we see each other as human beings and we're having respectful conversations. And I think that's really important. And no one's I mean, almost no one's doing that. Like, we're so divided and we're so polarized, and, you know, we're seeing what's happening in the U.S. with Trump, and it's like, you know, like, progressives and liberals, like, need to wake up. Because, like, it's like Trump's gonna get reelected, and it's gonna be because people aren't having conversations, and because they're creating further divisions, and they're refusing to acknowledge the other side as human.